Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. It's Mama here, and this is Waylon. And Dewayne is here with me today. You might know that he's here because you'll see a puff of smoke come across the camera every once in a while. He's got a massive cigar he's celebrating the end of this year and with.
They put the homely one behind the camera, put the pretty one in front of the camera. So, we want to do a video together, okay? This is Mama's video going on Mama's channel, and her heart for starting that channel is to help others, especially ladies who may be having some difficulty and might be a little bit, would it be fair to say, intimidated in this journey of horsemanship and starting out. Now, you and I have been married for a long time, right?
Yep.
How long?
31 years.
31 years. So if we've been together for 31 years, you know all there is to know about horses and horsemanship.
Well, that's what people tend to think.
Is that not so?
It is not so.
So when did your journey in horsemanship, when did it begin?
It's been just over a year.
So what were you doing before that?
Raising babies.
Raising babies.
Yep, a lot of times wanted to be a part of it. I would go on rides with Dewayne once in a while. We went on a few rides, but I was not, it was not a huge part of my life, because a big part of it was because I had to be home with the kids. And part of it was I was trying to get the kids out with Daddy. We only had so many horses, and I wanted them to have those opportunities with him before they left home. You know, that was part of their raising. And so if we had 2 horses, I would send 2 kids out to ride with Dad, and I stayed behind with the kids.
So then it'd be fair to say that at your age, 29, as a grandmother, you have closed out an entire chapter of your life, and you're starting a whole new chapter.
Yes.
So you're starting at the beginning.
I am.
So where did this horsemanship, this new journey for you, where did it start? In Bandera?
Oh, where? Yes. Yeah. Yes. It started when we moved to Bandera, Texas, and Dewayne actually got a job as a wrangler, and I wanted to wrangle. I saw that for years. I saw that, him doing that, and I was always intrigued by it and thought, well, I can't do that. And then all of a sudden, here it was just he and I, no kids, nothing for me to do. And I did some cooking there on the ranch. They hired me as a cook, in the kitchen, helper and stuff. And then they said, if you're not doing that, you can be out helping Dewayne with the wrangling. But I wasn't paid for it. But I was out there every minute I could, every spare minute. I was out there helping and learning and watching.
So for the sake of others who are just starting out, whether it be young people who are going into the wrangler life, or women such as yourself who are beginning a new chapter in life, when you started helping wrangling, what were some of the insecurities that you faced? What were some of the fears that you had to face and had to deal with out there?
Well, like physically, just being around so many horses. A wrangler's job is to go out and get the horses and bring them in, and you got to brush them down, saddle them, and everything. And of course, there was that part of it, going out and getting a horse, learning to do that. Then whether I was going to do something wrong, get the wrong saddle for the wrong horse, or put it on wrong, things like that. And then, of course, when the guests, that's a lot of smoke. When the guests would come, let's say you had 15 people come in, and you had to get them all on the right horse and check the stirrups and everything. I was there and I was helping with that, but I honestly did not know what I was doing. I just did the best I could. I saw you do stuff. I saw the other wranglers do stuff, and I would just try to follow along and do the best I could with that. But I guess my biggest fear was that they were going to that they were going to see through that think, well, she doesn't know what she's doing. She has no idea. What's she doing out here? She's not a wrangler. You know.
Was there a point, a particular something that happened either with the guest out on the trail or in the corral or something where all of a sudden you're like, hey, I just did that?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of those moments. After we bought Biscuit, so he was my horse, then that definitely boosted my confidence, just having my own horse. I think that was a huge boost in my confidence, that nobody else was going to ride this horse. It wasn't a guest horse, a dude horse. That was my horse. That was my mount. It was tied over there. I was responsible, for making sure he was ready to go and getting on the trail. And then I was usually the last one out behind all the guests, and I would ride behind them or beside of them. And sometimes, I would ride beside of them and just look and make sure everybody was okay as you would lead them out. And for me, being able to look at a guest and see their posture, let's say for example, their posture. If they were sitting, slouching or something, or gripping onto the saddle horn because they were scared to death, then when I noticed that and I was able to say, hey, if you want to sit up a little bit, that might help with your posture, and it might help you be more relaxed and comfortable. You won't put so much pressure and hurt so much. And then when they did and they noticed, I was like, hey, I just taught them something.
What about guests, either children or women, who were afraid? Did you find that you had a strength in empathy as, if I can say this politically incorrect, as a woman, as a mother, as a grandmother, did you find yourself at some point, because we did, in fact, the owner was out with us, mm-hmm. and on one ride, and we had a very particularly frightened guest, mm-hmm. And he noticed, and I noticed, that you had an ability to ride up beside her and gently mm-hmm. encourage her and help her, and that had to have been a big boost.
Yeah, absolutely, it was. I think what I'd like to say is, one thing that I learned is to teach someone, when you feel like you don't have anything to teach someone, all you have to know is a little bit more than that other person. That's something that I learned, I think, in wrangling. These guests, most of them come in and they've never ridden before. They don't ride often. And I was out riding every day. And so I did know a little bit more than them, even though I didn't know it all. You don't have to know it all to teach someone. You just need to know a little bit more than them, and then you pass that knowledge on, and then you gain more knowledge and you pass that knowledge on. It definitely boosts your confidence like that. But yes, in answer to your question, with the, the ones that were scared to death out there, the little girl or whatever, I have an easy connection with kids, obviously, having 7 of my own. And it was easy for me to tell her, calm her down. I was able to do that easily. So then I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. And so then when we left Bandera mm-hmm. and came out here and started the school, mm-hmm. it was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and it was super scary. Like, super scary. I'm like, these people, they're going to come in, they're going to see right through me, and they think I know just as much as Dewayne, and they're going to find out that I don't know beans from apple butter, and so that was scary. But then when they came in, when school started, I realized, like what I just said, I was able to just be his partner and help, and I gained the knowledge as we went along, and it wasn't as scary.
And then you got more experience with the horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of what holds people back with horses is the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you experience, the more you know.
Right.
The more confident you become.
Right.
And your concern when the school started, I think you expressed to me, was how were you going to be profitable mm-hmm. to me? How were you going to be a help to me?
Yeah.
What ways did you find that students were out there with the horses.
Mm-hmm.
And what were some of the ways that you found that you were actually indispensable, that you helped a great deal, that the holes that I left, that you were able to fill in?
I don't really know how to answer that. I just felt like when I was out there with you, and like, let's say you were helping, you taught a lesson or something with all the students, and then everybody had to go do, maybe they all had to go saddle their horse or something. I was able to kind of be out there and where you couldn't, be your second set of eyes, you know, and you can't watch everybody, even though there was only 5 students, you can't watch everybody. And so I could see this person was struggling learning how to tie the halter on the hitching post. They couldn't get the knot, or they were doing it wrong, or whatever. You couldn't see that. You didn't know where they were struggling with. So I was able to come to you and say, hey, just so you know, so-and-so's having trouble with the knot. And then you were able to help them, you know.
And there were, I mean, it ended up there were being most of the time when you saw someone struggling like that, you didn't have to come to me. You wound up helping a lot with that.
Eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have the confidence when school first started to do that, but I tried. And then, you know, there were times when I was like, oh, I didn't do that right. But that's part of learning and growing. It's just part of life, making mistakes and learning from them.
So some of the young ladies that came in that were inexperienced, and maybe some of the, and it was mostly ladies, I think, I don't think I'm being improper here, that were insecure, okay, frightened. You were able to reach them in a way that I wasn't. I think it looked to me like there were times where I, however unintentional, I can be a little intimidating, a little gruff, you know, and there were times on horseback I've seen you ride up beside somebody on horseback. Not just the ladies. There was the one guy. He was on Biscuit out here, and he was having, no, I don't remember what horse he was on, but you just rode with him around out here while I was helping.
Oh, yeah, I
You
remember that.
And he just settled.
Yeah.
Right
He
down.
just needed somebody to ride along with him and point out some of the things, remind him of some of the things that you had taught him, but he was a little bit jazzed up about stuff. And I know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to say his name. And he was a little jazzed up about stuff, and I think there was some intimidation, which is natural when you're with somebody who, you know, you're at a school and you're trying to, you know, you're there to learn, but you don't want to come across as completely ignorant about something or whatever, and you want, you know, people to think you know more actually than you do, maybe. That's natural. That's natural for humans to do, but I just saw that he was struggling and you were busy, and I'm like, I'll just go over there. And I just reminded him of some of the things that you said, and he calmed down, and we just rode around, and I did my figure eights around the tree, and he followed along, and just everything just calmed right down and smoothed right out. I mean, that helped.
Now what about?
And that helped me,
Yeah.
because that boosted my confidence.
Now what about your own personal horsemanship journey? What are some things that has helped you? Some things that you have done that has really just kind of helped brought you up to the next level in your confidence with horses?
Some things that I've done, like physically.
Yes.
Well, just having the, like I've been saying, the grit to, okay, I don't, you know, if I have to go out and get my own horse and bring it in, sometimes I'm not really sure.
What about taking Boone back to the pasture all those times?
Oh, you mean getting on him bareback?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that would work because Boone was out here and we were bringing him in and giving him a supplement every day. And so I kind of took it upon myself to challenge myself. That's a big part of it. You challenge yourself to do uncomfortable things. And it was uncomfortable for me. I had to go out in the pasture amongst all the horses and get the halter on him and bring him out and feed him his grain and then take him back. Well, instead of just doing that, I challenged myself and I closed the gate and then I climbed up on the fence and got on him bareback, which he's a really easy horse to do that with, but that's a good way to start out. So I would get on him bareback and ride him over to the barn bareback and then hop off, give him his grain. And then I would put him over by the mounting block and I would get on him bareback and ride him back over. And then I would get off, but eventually I challenged myself further and had him, sidestep up to the gate, and I would reach down and unlock the gate and go in on his back and then close it, and then it just advanced from there. So definitely confidence builder there.
Do you remember the first time that you decided to get on him bareback?
Yeah.
Did you second thought? And it's like,
oh yeah, I'm like, I'm going to fall off. I'm going to embarrass myself in front of all the students and everything, but I didn't. It went fine. I remember the first time I got up to that gate and decided I'm going to open the gate from his back. I was like, nobody's around. Nobody saw it. You were on the trail with some of the students, and absolutely nobody saw it except me and Boone and the other horses. And so I was bummed at first, but I didn't let that take away from it. I'm like, I accomplished something. And I was so proud of myself for getting that accomplished and doing something that was uncomfortable that 2 years ago I never would have done. 2 years ago. I mean, it was a huge improvement. So.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Yellowstone, and I don't quote Yellowstone.
Yeah, we don't even watch it.
We don't even watch it. But I saw a clip one time where one of the guys described cowboying as an art that nobody sees. And they were talking about the best ride you'll ever make will be a ride that nobody
sees.
So if you were to take this last year, this journey over the last year, and use it to encourage somebody who's just starting out, somebody who's a bit intimidated, somebody who's just not sure, what have you learned? What would you encourage them?
Well, to continue to challenge yourself, to step outside of your comfort zone and do things that are hard, because you're not going to grow if you're not going to challenge yourself to do those hard things.
And you're not the first one to ever go through this, I think.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, everybody starts out at the bottom.
Nobody's born.
No, and that's something I have to keep reminding myself in my frustrations. When I get frustrated, I keep reminding myself, all right, listen, you are way ahead of where you were. So just take it easy. Don't be hard on yourself. Just take the next step and don't get frustrated.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to say to anybody before we go?
Happy New Year. I hope the next year is better than this year for some of you. I'm hoping for me it will be. As I continue to learn and grow, I hope you guys do too. Have the grit that's necessary, that you need every day, and continue to give grace, even where it's not deserved or asked for. Just don't focus on yourself, and have fun with your horses. If you're a horse person, enjoy the evening with your family and your friends, and we'll see you guys next year.